right, well, welcome. This is the future of leadership in live events, and we've got a really, really packed panel with experience on this one. Touring in 2020 went away for all of us, and Polestar in December said that the touring business lost about $30 billion. And so as we look towards the rest of this year and 2022, we've got to start to take a look at what touring will look like moving forward, because things may change. And as we get into our panel, I'd love to have each of our panelists give a little background about who they are and where they come from as we start this conversation. We've got Noelle Scaggs, Jerome Crooks, and Jim Digby on this one. I'm Ulf Oesterle from Syracuse University. And Noelle, why don't we start with you and a quick introduction to yourself?
Great. My name is Noelle Scaggs. As you know, I am the co-composer of a band called Fits and the Tantrums. I've been in this music industry for a little over 20 years now, throughout touring and, as a recording artist. And I started this journey in 2020, just kind of thinking about my experiences on the road and recognizing that there had been a lack of diversity through a good number of my concert experiences, and I wanted to change that. So I created a foundation called Diversify the Stage, which focuses on bringing young people into the fold by introducing them to careers in this ecosystem, in addition to supporting my partner, Jerome Crooks, with his platform called Never Famous, which gives the opportunity for qualified individuals to gain access to careers on his platform. So I'll let him speak on that, but that's me.
Hi, I'm Jerome Crooks. I am a tour manager in this industry. I've been touring since 1996 and also worked for a promoter out of Texas for 4 years before that. I've been working on a platform called Never Famous to help touring professionals in our industry help market themselves so that they can hopefully pivot from one tour to the next and continue building their platform so that managers, production managers, and tour managers in this industry can help find not just the same people that they're used to working with, but they have an opportunity to find other people in this industry that are qualified that can also do just as good of an opportunity as everyone else, whether it be, male, female, people of color, people in the LGBTQ community, and so forth.
Great. And Jim.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Digby. I guess that makes me the old guy on this call. I've been doing a backstage production person for the entirety of my life, and that started professionally in 1983. I've also created the industry's Event Safety Alliance, a nonprofit advocacy group for better safety practices in the live event space across all verticals. I'm also a production manager by trade, a production director by trade. And I, too, share a vision. We've had the perfect confluence of a year with so many things going wrong, not just COVID, but having the time because of COVID to shine a light on other portions of our industry that we could do better and the things that we currently lack that would create a stronger, more equitable ecosystem. And I think that's how Noelle and Jerome and I find ourselves in each other's company, though I will say that Jerome and I have had the pleasure of touring together. Noelle, we have not yet had that opportunity. And I think that, it's important that we try to use some of this time, those of us who can focus on it, try to use some of this time to craft maybe a better way forward than going back to the old way that we used to do it.
Now, looking forward to the rest of 2021, Noelle, what do you see touring look like this year? Is it going to come back?
Well, I mean, I hope so. I don't think that it will be the same, to make that assumption that, things are going to go back to normal would be a lie, because they're not. We've all been forever changed by what has occurred in 2020. I think as individuals and how we see our lives, but also, how we want to navigate moving forward. So my hope for next year is that everything that has started in 2020 continues, because this is a long road ahead of us to really fix the issues, to magnify and amplify voices that hadn't been heard or, have been muffled, and, really work together, on fixing these issues. I think everybody, having the same, opportunity to move forward is only going to make things better in the next 5 years.
Jerome, what are your thoughts on the 2021 tours?
I read an article that Mark Geiger did earlier in the year, maybe as Polestar or Billboard magazine, and he said that the industry would not be back until 2022. And I frowned and I shook my head because I did not want to believe this at all. And I thought to myself, there's just no way. And then I was hoping that we'd hear from someone from Live Nation or some of the managers out there. But as months and months have passed, I think starting in September, October, I started believing, like, I don't think this industry will be back in 2021. So in my mind, I believe that we will return in 2022, and I think things will be great. But my belief and my hope is that we will be back in late summer or quarter 3 of 2021, and that would be a bonus. So in my mind, I'm 2022, but in my heart, I'm like yesterday.
So if this is the case where, Noelle's a little optimistic and say, maybe this year, if it is 2022, now we're looking at a year to 2 years of some of the professionals working in the touring business not being on the road. And so, Jim, since you've got the most experience on the road, what are some of the challenges that the workforce are facing, over the course of this time, not going through the day-to-day of touring?
Well, I think where we sit on the date of this recording is, some 95 or more greater percent of our workforce is completely out of work at the moment. And, I keep trying to get everybody to think of it in human terms. While it's important that we get shows underway and that we get venues opened again, it's also important that we pull everybody through this moment in time by any means necessary. We are faced with a significant challenge of knowns and unknowns when we try to go back to work. And just a second's worth of my own prognosticating, I'd love to think that we've got some semblance of shows happening in 2021, but by many accounts, we're not seeing the economy of the ecosystem's economy recover until beyond that. So it's going to be a slow roll to get to where we have been from a numbers point of view, how many people are working in the industry again. When we come back, one of the things we need to be most guarded about is we're coming back rusty. We're coming back without our skills fully sharpened. And we're coming back, without the muscle memory and the intuitive and instinctive response to how I do my job. And I think that applies at every part of the ecosystem, from bus driver and runner and caterer and production manager and tour manager throughout the system, riggers. We all will be coming back from a place of dormancy. And it's that dormancy that concerns me as we try to execute shows and as we try to welcome public into these spaces. Have we, as the leaders of our community, have we afforded enough room and enough space and enough empathy and enough double check to ensure that everybody's doing their job safely? Everybody has the room to forget something and have that, oh, shoot, I just remembered I needed to do that. And Or are we pressing too hard and therefore possibly setting ourselves up for catastrophe? So, I find myself most recently in the place of trying to socialize that conversation and normalize the idea that we're coming back rusty. Let's give room as the leaders for all kinds of, re-oiling the Tin Man, to use a horrible metaphor, but let's make sure that we're checking on each other, and that we're not creating spaces where people are also in fear of their jobs if they do the job wrong or if they forget a step. That's going to happen. It's going to happen at every level. So even the leaders would do well to give that space in case they forget a step. That's the bit that's concerning me at the near the top of the list, Ulf.
So, I mean, how do we ensure that these leaders are looking out? Is there an education system in place? Is there a process to make sure that there are double checks, triple checks on what we need to do? Do the leaders have the skills to address sort of the financial or mental health struggles that many of our peers are going through over the course of this year? And that's for the panel. Any one of you can answer this one.
We have to identify the state of the industry as it is, and we have to acknowledge it. We have to respect how we got here. I'm saying have to a lot, and that's probably not the best choice of words, but acknowledging where we are today is that our industry is built up mainly of pioneers, mainly of folks who have not had to have formal education to be in the roles that they're in, including the leaders, and that most of our training has been on-the-job training, and that the world itself is in a different place dynamically with respect to respect. We now have seen for far too long so much systemic racism. We've seen for far too long so much injustice with respect to sexual orientation. We've seen for far too long the lack of care for the individual in the way we do business. And perhaps some of those who make decisions for artists prey on the fact that we don't have the education and that we don't have a system. So where are we today? We don't have those pieces in place. Where would we like to be at some point in the future? I think we'd like to be in a place where our leaders are trained to be compassionate. They're trained to de-escalate problem situations. They're trained to recognize perhaps a drop in someone's mental resilience and know what to do with that. They're trained to be responsible from an HR, from an equitable, from a diversity hiring standpoint. All of those pieces don't currently exist. If they exist on your team, it's because people around you and yourself are committed to them. It's not because the industry asks for them. And I think what we're trying to say in this conversation is we want the industry to value those things as a priority, and we want our leaders to understand how to work those things as a priority.
Everything you just said is true, and that is why I didn't say yes. What I am noticing is that there is an effort towards doing that, but I'm also seeing a lot of chickens with their heads cut off, not knowing how to do that. Which is concerning, for me when I'm having a conversation with a company and talking about diversity and talking about doing outreach to communities that are underserved and giving them the access and building pipelines for their communities to be able to gain access to equitable opportunities. It's difficult having a conversation with somebody that doesn't understand the mindset of an individual dealing with poverty, and also an individual that may come from circumstances where their community is unsafe, and how do you kind of build a bridge and show empathy towards that, because that is something that is embedded in someone's mind. It is part of their mental health, So yeah, I'm hoping that these companies, like Jim said, are identifying that this is something that is necessary when they're talking about diversity and inclusion, and they're talking about HR, and we're talking about giving internship opportunities to young people that come from these backgrounds, that they're able to help lift them up and navigate their territories knowledgeably. Yeah, that's all I can add to that. I'm hopeful, but I'm not seeing it.
If I can add to that, I was in New York on September 11th with an artist, and we ended up getting out of New York a day later and went to Florida. Came back a week later and started doing TV shows, and then started right back on tour. So September 11th was completely different because the industry pretty much started back up within 2 weeks, and all was back to normal on the touring side of things. But what I've heard from a lot of people is, oh, you're speaking about diversity, and it may, it's great, but I think it's a little too early. The difference is right now is our industry is not going to return to the arenas and to the theaters as quickly as September 11th returned, right? So people have the time right now to look in this direction to make sure that they are putting together a plan, an A-list plan of getting the industry started back up again, and also making sure that we all have a diversified plan to get individuals an opportunity, an equal opportunity to be in this space, in this platform. And that's what we're here to do. And that's why we're having the conversation. And I do not believe that it's too early to have this conversation. I believe that we should have had it a long time ago. And thanks to Noelle, like pushing forward, I believe that, we'll be able to look in a direction in the future that more people have a greater opportunity.
And my fear, Jerome, to add to that, my fear is that the dormancy and the ability to go back to work are going to create two different vacuums. Right now, the dormancy is creating this vacuum of fear that people are living in. But when people get the opportunity to go back to work, and that dormancy then has resulted in this fragmented approach towards fixing a lot of problems, where I think many of us are trapped with the problem of, I want to fix everything right now. And because we've scoped ourselves out too greatly, we can't get anything done. But then when we go back to work, people are not going to look backwards. People are going to worry about how to make the bottom line work again. They're going to worry about paying off the bills that they've accumulated over the downtime, and the focus and opportunity to really have meaningful conversations about what the future of our business looks like, and the future of leadership that's equitable looks like, may go away because people will be too worried about it. I'm sorry, people will be too preoccupied with getting the work done. So now is the time, to your point, now is the time to have these difficult conversations, but go one step further, put the plans in place, as you said. Let's help those who want to know how to do it. Be more equitable, find more diverse human resources, make sure that everybody has a chance to understand what the jobs are in our industry and how they can find them, and that those doors are open. In our case, Jerome, as decision makers for who gets hired on a tour from a vendor standpoint, we can be saying things like, well, your vendor staff needs to be representative of what life really is. We need to see people of color. We need to see people of different LGBT communities. We need to see women, and a balanced contribution to our workforce needs to come from you as our vendor staff, because those are our hiring practices.
And to follow up on that, I think it's important for those that are unfamiliar to understand what the hiring process actually is, but also what are the skills that a potential employee is going to have. Are they getting these skills from mentorship? Is it a college degree program? Could you all touch on where you're finding the employees, but also the hiring process to work in the live business?
With Diversify the Stage, obviously we're working towards fostering, right? So the mentoring and the internship opportunities into real-time apprenticeship experience is what is, going to help give these young people the tools that they need. So say a year from now, 2 years from now, they're able to, be a professional on the road. That's, it's the education part, right? And bringing in all of these chains that are a part of the ecosystem of the business. So if we're looking at, the artist management and recognizing that if our management companies are not diverse, they're more than likely not going to refer diverse crews to their clients, right? So it starts from the very, I guess, the very top of the people that are hiring and making those recommendations and making sure that we are, diversifying their space, and then bringing it into our stagehand and our showmaker crews as well, who are our tour managers that are doing the hiring. What are the production companies they often go to? Are those production companies diverse? If those production companies are not diverse, let's figure out what their obstacles are, right? We're doing that with Claire. Claire recognizes that they are not necessarily getting diverse applicants into their internship programs. So let's help them build the outreach. If I don't have the kids, Music Forward certainly does. So let's partner them up with that. It's just really connecting the dots, right? I know with Diversify the Stage, my kids may not be ready to go on the road in 6 months, but a year they will be, maybe as an assistant production coordinator, maybe as an assistant, TM, whatever it is, we're going to make sure that they have the tools that they need to get there a year from now. This is a year-long plan with an infrastructure that's really meant for, maybe 6 months of mentoring, your referral system, making sure that we're getting them equitable opportunities and internship. If they choose not to do the interning, we're making sure that they're getting the technical training. If they want to be a stagehand, if they want to start building a career in some form of show making and production, that we're able to kind of get them the tools that they need to get better. As far as the individuals that are in the system now, when we're thinking about maybe why my optimism is happening is because I'm recognizing that I, as a human being, am servicing other individuals, and it's giving me purpose. Because I could have easily fallen into my trap of, I don't know when I'm going to tour again. Let me just not. I don't even want to deal with the music business anymore. There's nothing here for me, and really falling into that trap, because I almost did. I stopped writing. I stopped being creative. I hadn't been talking to my band members, barely talked to my manager. But it wasn't until I actually started identifying with my experiences and recognizing what got me into this business in the first place. And it was to help young people that I started to find my purpose again. So my offering to individuals that, are struggling to find their purpose and figuring out, yes, we're all dealing with financial, things, even the artists that you may feel have it all, they're dealing with how they're going to pay back Live Nation, because they've lost all of their income too. So we're all, like, when I'm talking about being on the same page, we may have a different footing financially or with the things, but we're all concerned about how we're going to pay those bills, how we're going to, make our returns on investments when things get back to normal. And I'm not going to say normal anymore, because they won't be, when we can get back to work safely. Let me wrap this up. I think me finding the purpose really helped me get through this year. And that is my offering that I have for individuals that are professionals, that are veterans in this space. Help me, with serving these young people. Help me and finding your purpose and looking outside of yourself. I know that it's really hard, but it may do something for that mental and keep you in a place of gratitude and whatever it is that you can offer that to somebody. My spiel is over because I felt like I took a lot of time. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Jerome, is there any more that you'd like to add, based on the experiences that you're having with Never Famous in terms of those workers that are coming down for 2021.
With Never Famous, we are still trying to build the platform and populate the website, and we just ask that if you're in this industry, we're trying to build a database for everyone so that they have a place to market themselves, and it's completely free. There shouldn't be a reason why people are not signing up, but we are trying to get more people to sign up so that when this industry returns, we all have a proper place to put our experience, and a place for people that are looking for work have an avenue, and this is a really good place for people to to sign up and take advantage of what's presented in front of them. That's it.
I will say we have a lot of recruiters. We do have a lot of recruiters that know that Never Famous exists. We need our staff members and people looking for work to build your profiles. It's a 5-minute process.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but do we collectively fear that when things are more or less green light returned, as opposed to some interim step to getting there, that we're going to be overtasked, right? We're going to have too many shows and too many opportunities, and some portion of our workforce will have checked out forever, sadly, and we will need to fill that pipeline.
Yeah, and that's also a good point, because you have to think about when the green light goes, how many venues have not just 1 and 2 holds, how many have a 4 and 5 hold on those venues? So if you're thinking that everyone is going to go back out immediately, it's not going to happen. So you're going to only have so many people that can tour at a time, and to be up against the NBA and NHL and all the other avenues out there that
will also get their green light.
Absolutely. So, I would think that my clients would be on, some of those early lists as well. But then I'm like, how is this possible? So I could go out for, a 3-week period, and then I could be home for probably another 3 months. That's where my head's at right now.
I don't think that's going to be a problem.
As we sort of get to the end of our presentation here, I think we have to look at the characteristics of leaders, and those great leaders have great communication skills, and they're very open with the crew that they're working with. And I think as 3 leaders amongst this conversation, there are resources out there that you all know of that you might provide for others that are looking to either build skills or need a little extra help in financial literacy or mental health help. What other organizations are out there that you can give a quick plug to, so that those that need a little assistance now while touring is paused, where can they go?
A few in my head right now. New Symphony Hall, if you're based out of New Jersey, they do offer internship programs, and they're really working towards diversifying their space. So they're one to look into. Roadies of Color obviously has been a long-standing organization that has really focused on BIPOC. Music Forward Foundation, I really love because of their career build programs, but you also have Grammy University and all of their initiatives. WMG is working on an emerging talents internship and youth development kind of program that they're still kind of building, but that is something that's going to be another resource. We also have UC Theater that offers paid and paid mentoring and paid internship programming, and Shakia Smith and Brianna Law could definitely use more young people getting into their program because, they have the offerings there. So those are some of the things that I'm thinking about as far as young people are concerned.
As far as mental health, I've been speaking with a lady named Patsy over at the Sims Foundation. She's been really great. And if anyone has, any, if they want to reach out and speak with Patsy, you can follow her or go to the Sims Foundation online. Also, we're in this situation for healthcare, and the Music Health Alliance. They are there to help anyone who needs health insurance, and if you have if your health insurance is too expensive, they can help you with finding different outlets and get you the help that you need. The other, avenues, I would like to thank Crew Nation, Music Cares, but also one of the smaller ones is Relief, Sweet Relief. They've been also helping. So those are some of the avenues that I wanted to mention. So thank you.
Yeah. And needless to say, Showmakers is gathering and aggregating much of these resources as well. Our aspirational goal is to try to provide a cohesive place to find many of the needs that one might have or one might want to resource for education, for mental health, for diversity, for safety. Of course, there's the Event Safety Alliance giving away quite a bit of its work for free, and the mental health for specifically to our industry. Behind the Scenes charity is working really hard to collect the data, to provide offerings for check-in opportunities. There's quite a great deal of work being done at Behind the Scenes Foundation, Behind the Scenes charity for mental health specifically.
Fantastic.
I'd be remiss. I'm sorry, I have one more. I'd be remiss to not mention the Lee Initiative. They have a fundraising thing that they're doing right now to feed out-of-work crews. And Jerome, if you could just go ahead and say that, this is really important.
So starting today in LA, Nashville, New York, Chicago, the re-initiative.org, they are feeding crew members that would love a hot meal. And the main chef is Chef Lee. He's an Iron Chef. He reached out to a lot of his friends who are top chefs in this industry, and you just need to go, show up, and collect a nice meal for you and your family. So go to re-initiative.org to find out more information.
Well, Noelle, Jerome, Jim, thank you all for being voices in this much needed discussion, and hopefully we see the return to touring in 2021 and have our stages represent what America looks like right now. And so we continue to support what you're doing, and thank you for all the work that you've done in this so far. And I appreciate you all being a part of this conversation today here at Believe in Music Week. Thank you.
Thank you.